got the knife basically done out. I drilled a couple holes, or actually one hole in the tang. I softened this up. I couldn't get this too soft without risking the blades, so I got something else planned here. But in terms of handle construction, I'm going to do a few different types of woods on this one. I couldn't figure out if I was going to do a purple heart or a blood wood or something else in there, but to last and to be the right colors for a long time, I'm going to use some blood wood, a little bit of maple crotch, and some king wood for the handle. I think it'll be an interesting combination. So I'm going to glue up some pieces and then mark it out place for the tang and carve it all out. So I've got the tang shortened like the previous one. I've got my pieces of king wood angled up. I've got a piece in the vise that has the extra little bolster up at the front. So this piece is actually going to be sitting somewhere in here. I've made a template of where that basic shape will fit. So now what I'm going to do is actually apply that to both sides. And that way I know what I need to actually remove from half stock. So we'll make that happen now.
What happened to my love? It disappeared. I can't get it back. But if I could, I'd give it to...
So this one time I was in Japan and I was working with a master craftsman there, and I asked if I could take a picture of his tools, and he said, yeah, sure. Well, I didn't speak any Japanese and he didn't speak English, so our translator basically said that'd be great. And so then I went to take a picture of his tools, and in his tool roll, his chisels, there was a pencil. And so after I took a picture of the tools, his apprentice comes up and he goes, oh, no, 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 and takes the pencil out and says, you can take your picture again. And so he asked me to delete the picture, which I didn't, and which I'm glad I didn't. So anyhow, so I realized what it was a pencil with a bunch of little Mickey Mouses on it, and he didn't want his master to find out that he had let someone take a picture with a Mickey Mouse pencil that represented him. So anyhow, I have this LOL sweet emoji pencil. Ridiculous. So I have my two pieces with my lines laid out, and what I'm going to do is actually use a marking gauge, and I've got it set for half the thickness of my tang, so I can measure out here how thick we are. And so all I'm going to do now is mark the ends. So I'm going to use a drill press to get away the meat, and then a traditional router plane to actually take out the rest.
It's been a lonesome way to the edge of civilization. When you look back at the path, you wonder how you got where you are, where things end. They seldom begin. I'm hoping on a better day when these songs are gone, and everything I've done doesn't mean anything.
So this now is seated in there. I'll put a pin in it and glue it, and then get the bolster done. So this is going to be my basic handle assembly that's going to run through this angle. And I neglected in my planning to think about how to actually put this on. So I'm going to cut a very, very tight, specific slot for that. So we'll see how that goes. So here's the bolster kind of deal. We're going to cut at that angle through there for the tang to come through. That's the shared real estate through both sides. So I'm going to trim out the middle and then chisel down at this angle to create that space.
Doesn't mean anything to anyone, to anyone. What happened to my love? It disappeared. I can't get it back. But if I could, I'd give it to you again. I'd give it to you again.
the knife blank, the handle is glued all up to two sides. The little bolster guard guy up to the blade. Also, a little tip, I always leave the nail that I use for my epoxy, right there, in the epoxy so I can check to see when it's totally cured. That way I don't have to worry about what this is doing, but I just check that, and that tells me how that's doing.
I know you've been saying in him, everything is a new creation. If it's true, why do I feel old? Peeling off snake skins, waiting for a new beginning.
After all the basic shaping has been done, it's time for some sanding.
Happened to my love, it disappeared.
So this is the part you're always looking forward to when you're doing woodworking and anything else, is when you get to put a little oil on this handle. See how it looks. So I put a coat of oil on and then peened in the brass rivet. So getting close to done.